This is true in every area of our life. Our lives are almost like reading a newspaper today, but we're reading the headlines from 90 days ago. And so that's what confuses people. They see the external results of their life, but if you read the newspaper from 90 to 120 days ago, that's where the news was made, not today. And so in every area of your life, you got it going right now. You got to fuel the fire. If you've got your business going, your finances going, your relationship going, your faith going where you want it to, you have to continue to do the activities that got you here in the first place.
Welcome to the Mindset by Design podcast with your host and NLP expert, Andy Murphy, where you will learn the tips, tricks, and strategies he teaches his world-class clients to give you the skills to dominate any business.
What's going on, Mindset by Design crew, and welcome to episode 370. Hope you're awesome as always. I really do. We're getting closer and closer to that 400, right? We're getting there. I'm pumped about that. Not sure if I'll bring in cool guests or I have no idea, but 400's a big one. We'll be well over $2 million by then, which is pretty epic in itself. Well over that. We got another 40 episodes by then. Yeah, we're well over $2 million. And do you know what? I'm really excited about that. And I don't know if I should put a special event on. I don't know. It's got to be some celebration, right? Biggest celebration, I suppose, is launching the Unfair Advantage Academy, which is epic. Influence, persuasion, high-level peak performance using NLP, neuroscience, and 20 years of my experience working with the best in the world. It's for who? You got it. It's for sales pros, closers, real estate agents, coaches, whoever it is that wants to double their income in the next 12 months and live a free life. Sound good? That's you? Keep checking out things. Head over to andymurphy.online. It'll give you all the links. New site's about to appear. We do a lot behind the scenes over here. There's a lot going on behind the scenes just for you. But I'm pumped about this, and you should be too. And speaking of pumped, today's episode, it's quite cool. I don't know if you know a gentleman who's, I've put a few episodes of his up before. Well, the clip shows that I do. So Ed Mylett, badass, and he runs a big podcast for a start, right? But like a lot of these people out there who just running podcasts, or coaching, they don't have a lot of wisdom or experience. They're just really doing it to make money. You know what I mean? So they hype themselves up. They don't have the client track record or the business track record, and they're just teaching things that other people have taught them without any wisdom. Well, Ed Mylett is not one of them for sure. I love this dude. This clip we're showing today is really, really cool. It's about goal setting. You probably gathered that by the title, right? Probably did. But the thing is, he runs a I think it's like $20 million financial services business. And he's interviewed all the best and all the greats, and his podcast is blowing up. So I love to grab clips from Ed because he's cool, and maybe one day I'll be on the show. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Or maybe he's on mine. That'd be awesome too. Either way, thank you, Ed. Keep putting out the awesome content. So speaking of content, that's what we're going to jump into. You know the drill. Find me on social media. Very easy. Andy Murphy Mindset. Get it? Very easy. What else? Yeah, just keep looking out for the updates. Head over to andymurphy.online. It's probably a fast way to stay with the latest and greatest stuff, whether it's going to be articles, videos, blogs, podcasts, or massive free video series, content, or just getting access to the Unfair Advantage Academy. Either way, that's where you're going to go. It's nice and easy. But right now you can sign up and grab a brilliant, badass book called The Total Control Blueprint. I'm actually going to be changing that title, but for right now, it's The Total Control Blueprint. It's going to go into all the science, the brain waves. It's going to go into everything. It's badass. What else? That's it. Should I shut up and jump into this episode? I thought you might say that. So let's go and hang out with Ed. And obviously, I'm going to do what I do in these episodes, give my 2 cents worth. That's it. Let's have some fun. I'll see you at the end of the show.
Having a difficult time in my life in one area or another, all I have to really do is look back 60 to 90 days, and it's the behaviors I had 60 to 90 days ago that are causing the results I get negatively right now. And so, like, for example, when I'm not really, progressing in my career or in my financial situation, if I look back 60 to 90 days prior, I stopped reading the books, listening to the audios, doing the things that grow my identity, and I pay the price 60 to 90 days later. In my body, when my body isn't looking like I want it to, if I look back 60 to 90, 120 days, that's when my diet got weaker. That's when my workouts weren't quite as intense as they were previously, and I pay the price 3 to 4 months later. This is true in every area of our life. Our lives are almost like reading a newspaper today, but we're reading the headlines from 90 days ago. And so that's what confuses people. They see the external results of their life, but if you read the newspaper from 90 to 120 days ago, that's where the news was made, not today.
Okay, crew, there we go. We jumped into meet Ed straight away, right? And I love what he's saying. Also, I disagree with one thing, and it's probably going against everything that's ever taught in the personal development industry, but I'm still going to say it because I disagree with it. But first of all, I love what Ed's saying. Because it's true. If we can... Basically, I have this rule for myself. If I'm still doing the same thing as I was last week, I'm not moving forwards. And that's really what he's talking about. Because it's the truth. I can go back into a memory of yours or a period of time when you were absolutely kicking ass. It might even be right now. And what I do is something called strategy elicitation. What the heck does that mean? It means we look at the blueprints of what you're doing when you do excellence, right? So whether I'm working with a trader, whether I'm working with a high-level CEO, or I'm working with someone just getting started, or a salesperson, or real estate person, or coach, to double their income, right? The truth is, there's a blueprint to how you did the best version of you. There is. Like what you spoke about, because Ed's a clever boy, right? The level of your commitment, right, is the level that you're going to get out. And I love the fact that he's used like 3 or 4 months down the track. So 90 days, 120 days. It's kind of the truth, man. It's kind of the truth. It's like you can maintain your fitness for a certain level of time, man. But then what happens? Yeah, we start to get a little belly, right? What happens? Well, then we fix it. But the truth is, it's the same with habit formation. It's the same with business. It's the same with your level of commitment and confidence to yourself. It's like this, right? If you haven't done a sale in a while, for whatever reason, it feels kind of weird when you close someone and then they pay you. Right? But it shouldn't, but it does. It's the same with everything, right? If you haven't been to the gym in a few months and then you suddenly go to the gym, first few times you go into that gym, it's kind of weird, right? It's kind of weird. And it's the same with everything. Because if we understand that our brain works very much like a muscle, then the muscle that we're pumping dominantly affects how we see ourselves, our belief system, our motivation, our attitude, our focus level, our motivation. It affects everything. So if we're constantly around that level of people, but also that habits inside of ourselves, or the discipline to be strict with our routine for the greater good of what we're moving towards, then you're going to see the results. So you've got to ask yourself, what have you been? Well, for a start, I don't know where you are in your life right now. You could be absolutely smashing it. You could be on a dip right now. and wanting to get back to where you were, or even smash where you were in productivity or results, right? You whatever it is, you might want to smash it and double that, triple that. But the thing about that is when we look at habits are formed through micro steps, right? Micro decisions or micro commitments start to build a new habit. A new habit is software or neurology inside of our brain, right? So what we got to get used to is constantly pumping this muscle. The muscle of who we know we really are at our ultimate, right? At our absolute best. We have a vision of inside of us, of that ultimate version of us that we know deep in our hearts that we really are, right? If we got rid of all the BS, if we got rid of all the fluff, all the noise, all the nonsense, all the people, all the mistakes, the distractions, the escapisms, if we got rid of all of those things, then what would be left? Yeah, the badass us, right? That's what would be left. Us being a badass. And that's the ultimate version of us. And so every day, that's what we strive towards, right? The issue I have, what's taught in this cell, first of all, does that make sense, right? Makes sense. The issue I have in the personal development industry is they talk about an identity. An identity is from psychology, and Tony Robbins talks about identity too, and it's something that I really disagree with. Now, I have an issue with calling what's a popular term when I talk about specific states or versions of the you that executes at a certain way. Meaning, the sports version of you is different from the sales version of you, is different from the relation version different of you. They're all very unique versions of you. This is something I teach inside the academy. But what you got to understand is I don't like the term alter ego. Now, alter ego is a powerful thing, and I've gone through this many times. Ego is a powerful thing, but I teach to move away from ego, because ego also makes you do irrational reactions, because the emotion that's sitting inside of an ego isn't certainty. It's not confidence. It's always coming from a certain lack. Now, that lack can create incredible results. It creates millions of dollars. It creates rock stars. It creates all of these things. But the fulfillment side of you isn't there. Do you know what I mean? It's never there. And I've looked into the minds of people who are billionaires. I've looked into the minds of everyone at that level. And the truth behind it is that it's not an identity that we want to be stepping into. It's a version of ourselves, for sure, with the same ethics, the same everything, just with a different focus, different belief, different set of software, right, in our brain. But an identity is an ego. And in ego, the way I understand and the way I teach this comes from a more of a spiritual concept, right? We're supposed to be driven by a passion or alignment or a heart, a mission, man, right? A mission to achieve something. That doesn't have to come from ego, right? It really doesn't. Ego creates incredible results. It's just at the highest level. It will never create fulfillment. So why start with ego when we can strip that away, teach you to be the real version of you, but add layers of superpowers or skills on top of that. So it means that then you can perform at your highest level that's driven from your intuition. Big difference, right? Big difference. And so when we start to understand that, I have different terminology. But either way, Ed's awesome.
And so in every area of your life, you got it going right now. You got to fuel the fire. If you've got your business going, your finances going, your relationship going, your faith going where you want it to, you have to continue to do the activities that got you here in the first place, because 90 days from now, you're going to read today's news. That's how it works. It's a hard thing to accept, but in our lives, we are getting out of our life right now exactly what we believe we're worthy of, exactly what we think we deserve. Our life is a direct reflection of our identity, which is the thoughts, concepts, beliefs, values, and worth we hold true to be about ourselves. And so as hard as it is to accept, We're getting out of life right now what we believe we're worth. And we believe we're worth it because of these patterns and our identity and our lack of choosing to have what we want. Not just the material things, not just the body fat, not just the body weight, not just the amount of money, not just having the relationship, but choosing the emotion we want. The level above all this stuff I discuss, and the level way down here where the people just cover the basic stuff, then there's what I've been covering. The highest level is to choose the emotions we want to experience and to begin to run patterns that serve us and eliminate the ones who move us further from them.
Love it. Yep, agree with Ed there 100%. It's so funny, man. It's so funny. I've known brilliant people who go against this concept, and this is a concept I've taught for over 15 years, right? And I've tested and proven with thousands and thousands and thousands of people. It's that the emotion inside of us drives or dictates how we perceive the world, right? So if you're in a fear or having fear, then what is your view of the world, right? What's your view of the next thing you're about to do? What's your view of yourself? What's your view of you get the idea, right? The emotion inside of us dictates who we are in that moment. And this is something I call a driver and a specific state or a peak state. But the emotion is the most important thing because it changes the filter in our brain, it changes the hormones and the chemicals, it changes the neurology that's predetermined or preconditioned. That's what we do in the academy. And the truth is, that's the secret sauce. Yet people go against this, right? Fuck your feelings, or all of that stuff. Well, yeah, to a degree, right? But it's like the old statement, fake it till you make it. It's nonsense. It's so nonsense, right? Don't fake it till you make it. Preconditioned your neurology to be it, then be it, right? Different way of thinking, and hopefully that doesn't even make sense to you. But if it doesn't, come and have a chat with me. So that's the difference, right? So I love what Ed said there. So let's keep going.
Now, here's the thing. Couple things. You got to make a decision. Listen to me. You got to make a decision. What's the decision? What's the thing you came here for? Now we're at the moment. The clock is ticking. People say all the time, hey, life is short. Let me tell you something. Life can be long. You bury your dreams, you quit this, life gets long. See, time's relative. 2 minutes of you being with your sweetie, doing whatever you like to do with them, that can go by quick, right? What's about the last 2 minutes on a treadmill? Does that not seem like it goes by for like 4 hours, right? So if you're enjoying it, it's short. If it's painful, it's long. Life can be long. You want a life that feels like it's flying by. You want a life like I have right now where I go, can I just press pause? Can I just press pause? It's so good, it's so great, it's so rewarding, it's so awesome. But I don't really want to press pause because I know it can get better. So what's the decision? What have you been sitting on? What is it? Is it, people are texting me, hey Ed, I submitted my resignation last night. I'm coming full time. I walked away from a 6-figure job. Is that the decision? Is it the decision to finally get serious? Is the decision to get licensed? Is the decision to stop worrying about what people think? Is the decision to become a great closer? Is the decision to something in a relationship you have you need to get out or into? It's only a thought if you don't take an action. The difference between a thought and a decision is an action. So we know, and you just decided, and you know what it is. You know what it is. You will have really decided if within this next hour you took some step towards it. Something. A note you write, a text you send, a decision you've made, something you do that you follow up with the action to make it real.
If you meet people that you think are egomaniacs that are constantly bragging about themselves, these are the most insecure people that you know. They're the most fearful people that you know. They're the most scared, and they're usually the least happy. And so, but I'm gonna say something to you today. I want you to consider as I go through ego today. I know you think, wow, I'm so down on myself. How could I have an ego? It's actually the people that are down on themselves that actually have their ego materialize and show up more often than they think. And it's their ego that may actually be holding them back. You think, wow, how could someone with low self-esteem have a big ego? Well, trust me, they do. And so egos are not part of people with high self-esteem. The people in my life that are the most self-confident, typically don't have big egos. If you have to wait around for other people to tell you, hey, your ego's out of control, it's too late usually. So we've got to be able to see our ego when it rears its head, be aware of it, and it loses its power over us. We can go back to being our real selves. You can't love yourself if you're not being yourself. You can't love yourself if you're not being yourself. When ego shows up, we're not ourselves. We're not connected to God. In other words, if you can let go of your ego, you can let God in. When you can let go of your ego, you can let your real confidence in. When you let go of your ego, you can go really become who you were born to be. And so oftentimes, this is so important you get. You may be losing right now because of your ego. Because of your ego. Because you're not feeling good about yourself.
There we go, right? There we go. Full circle, full circle. I 100% agree with him. Ego can be used as pain, as a motivator to drive from. It's those places that we're in where we could be in such a dark place that we go, fuck it, let's go, right? And that's ego. We're using pain. But if you keep putting your hand on the fire, what happens after a while? Yeah, you get burnt, you get a scar. Right? You get a wound. But if we put a hand on a fire once and we learn from it and we use that as an away and then towards of what we want, that's a beautiful thing, right? Because we've learned the lesson, we've learned the growth, we've learned what we're supposed to evolve ourselves, to strip away another layer to reveal who we really are. And when we really understand that, everything changes. So what Ed's talking about there is I couldn't agree more. Ego comes from what I call bling bling or self-pity. Again, something I'll teach you another time. But bling bling and self-pity. And when we're in self-pity, it's the same thing as bling bling, right? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. The thing about it is it's self-destructive, right? But it will achieve external results, but it will never, ever achieve the inner results that you want.
I want you to think about something real quick. See, there's a book being written about your life, isn't there? Someone somewhere's taking inventory of your life. Don't compare your chapter 1 to someone's chapter 10. You write your own book. And at any moment in your life, you can decide that you want to make this the new chapter. You're literally in your life, you can turn the page. And those previous chapters are your old book. It's like Old Testament, New Testament. Old story, new story. They're connected, they're related, but you can flip the page and you can have a whole new story. If you decided right now, I am literally my breakthrough is I turn the page, and in this second, I start to write the best chapters of my life. You could decide to do that.
I think the thing that holds most people back is their identity. And so I'm pretty good at getting people to change their identity. In other words, your identity is the thoughts, concepts, beliefs, values that you hold to be true about yourself. And your life is going to be very consistent with that. Your identity is, for the most part, in the room right next to me, I can see it, but you can't. There's a thermostat sitting on the wall in there. That thermostat regulates the temperature of the room. It's set at 75 degrees. So right now I opened up the doors. It's a cold, rainy day here. I live right on the ocean. A bunch of cold air is blowing in here right now, but the room's not going to cool down to the external conditions. The room's going to heat back up to 75 degrees because that thermostat will heat the room up to get it to the temperature it's set at. It's identity. If I open that door and hot air blew in here, which probably is now that I'm starting to talk, the air conditioner will turn on and cool that room back to 75 degrees. It regulates the temperature. Your identity regulates the temperature of your life. No matter what happens, the external conditions can get better and better and better. You're making more money, or you're more fit, or you're in a better relationship. But if you don't change your identity, if you're a 75 degreeer and you're getting 85, 90, 95 degrees of results, you'll find a way over a pretty short period of time to turn the air conditioner back down and get those areas right back to what your identity is. And that's why you'll see people get ahead and then come back, lose weight and gain it, get in a great relationship and lose it, make a bunch of money and get back. It's not the success of people you know that's making you unhappy. It's you're comparing your situation to the success they're having that creates unhappiness in your life. So for those of you that are struggling and saying, you know, one of the things I suffer from is I'm just not very happy very often, I can tell you that presence of unhappiness, you will always link to a comparison of some sort, either in your own life or in other people's lives. And just being aware of that fact and stopping the comparison, embracing this moment, embracing this time, knowing that you can't go back to that previous time, knowing that you can't be in somebody else's life. You're not going to have that other body right now. And so if you're looking to be happier, I can promise you, the number one key that I would give you is to stop the comparison game. You'd say, well, that's not completely true. I mean, what if someone passes away? That makes me unhappy. There's no comparison there. Let's take the most extreme example. Or when someone's sick in my family, someone in my family's got a really bad illness, that makes me unhappy. That's not a comparison. In fact, it is. The fact of the matter is that when someone gets sick in your family or passes away, what you do in your mind is you compare it to when they were healthy. So that comparison of I wish they were healthier again, that is a comparison between the previous situation and the current condition. If someone passes away, it's comparing the time that you had them. That's why people say, if I could just have one more moment with them, if I could just have another conversation. It's comparing it to when you had the moment. It's comparing it to when you had the conversation. And so those are extreme examples. But if we reduce it all the way down to anything right now in your life that you say, it brings me unhappiness, there's no joy there. There's a comparison happening that's not serving you.
I love that. And it's the absolute truth, right? And we all know it. How many times you come off social media feeling good, right? Well, it depends what's in your scroll feed, right? It depends what's in there. If you've got Rob Dyrdek, if you've got Andy Murphy, if you've got Tony Robbins, if you've got Ed Mylett, if you've got all of these people, Joe Dispenza, I can go on, right? Do you want me to go on? But if you can understand that, and there's nothing really to compare, because they are such unique individuals. I put myself in there, didn't I? But yeah, we're such unique individuals that you shouldn't be comparing. The analogy that I always use, it's like, look at Hollywood. Hollywood is so far the greatest marketing machine that has ever been. Right? Disagree? Think about this. Maybe you'll agree. Hollywood has been able to change the whole culture of the world. It dictates products, it services, looks, feels of people. It just dictates the marketing, or has up until this point, around the world, right? So think about the people. I've said this so many times, so I apologize again, but I've said this so many times over the years. But who are the people that we remember who stand out in Hollywood? It's the Brad Pitts, it's people like that. And who's Brad Pitt trying to be? Just Brad Pitt. That's it. But what do people try and do who go to Hollywood? They try and be somebody that they are not. So they emulate somebody, right? But they're not uniquely them. The people that stand out in business, the people that stand out in this world that we're talking about, the podcasting and performance world, that they are all very unique individuals that people remember. So the point is, you have to be yourself. What we're trying to do, though, is instead of putting a 40-watt bulb in, we're trying to put you at a 100,000-watt bulb, right? It's still a bulb. It's just you're able to shine even brighter. You're able to shine at your optimum, your maximum, right? You're able to shine. And what happens when you shine? Yeah, people can see you. Does that make sense? If you're dimming your bulb, people can't see you. If you're upping your bulb, people can see you. Now, if we turn it up too high, what happens to the filament in the middle? Yeah, it wears out. Just like what Steve Jobs did, right? So there has to be that optimum, right? We can't burn too bright. We can't burn too low. We have to find the optimum of us that we can then shine our light so bright that the world has to see it. And if that's you right now and you've dipped, enough's enough. Time to make a different decision, a different path, a different way. This is your year. This is your week. It's your day. It's your call. It's whatever you're doing next. You can do it at your best. So that is on the table for you. And speaking of on the table, that's the end of episode 370. Yep, we got there. So hopefully you enjoyed, Ed, and hopefully you enjoyed some of my comments through that. I was going to jump in a lot more, but it was a short clip, and hey, we're on episode 370. There's going to be lots more coming. And speaking of lots more coming, it's your turn. So head over to andymurphy.online. Make sure that you're jumping on my mailing list, grabbing some of the free stuff, the book, whatever it is for now. And then we're going to get launching with this Unfair Advantage Academy. Just finishing off the sales pages, just finishing off the brand, just finishing off everything. So I can make it nice and clear and easy for you to chat to us and see if this is the right fit for you. Because we don't know whether it is. But if you're a real estate agent, you're a sales pro, you're a closer, you're a coach, whatever it is that you're using sales about, I'm not going to be teaching you sales. You already got that, right? What I'm going to be teaching you is the subliminal high level of sales and making sure that your career explodes. And then I'm going to be teaching you how to double your income. And it's beautiful. And we got a world-class guest that we're going to be constantly bringing in, that we're going to look at the unconscious strategies, but that little bit's a secret. Okay, I think we're good. And you have an amazing week. Check out the clip show on Thursday. Until then, much love. Make sure that you're heading over to the show notes, making sure that you're finding me on social media, Andy Murphy Mindset. And I'm pumped to connect with you very, very soon. Until then, you have a beautiful week. Again, much love. And oh yeah, one more thing. Why don't you smile for me?
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of the Mindset by Design podcast with your host and NLP expert, Andy Murphy. We'll catch you next time.